Hello, all of our friends, and welcome to Believe in the Dallas Cowboys. I am Jeff Cavanaugh.
Cavanaugh!
I don't have to say of anything. I'm just me. I am who I am. That's it. But also of 97.1 The Freak. You can hear me 7 to 11 a.m., 97.1 in DFW, or on the iHeartRadio app if you're out of the listening area. This is former Cowboys wide receiver Jesse Holly.
Oh, Jesse Holly went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
And we, of course, are brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. And they are your number one source for all your sports betting needs. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. I'd apologize to all of you if you bet on the Cowboys. That's my fault. It's my fault. Not my fault because you made that decision. My advice was probably iffy. But they are your continued source for all sports wagering information. I told you Aaron Rodgers was the boogeyman. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, giveaways all season long. The fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whatever league that may be. BetOnline.ag. Get your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit by using the promo code BLEAV. Believe. BLEAV. And here we are. Good afternoon, Jesse. How are you, my friend? You look great.
Hey.
You look good in a beanie.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, man. It's like one of those just the top of the ear right there. Keep the top of the ear warm.
Yeah, it won't keep your whole head warm because you're not covering your whole ear, but it looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's not functional in any way, shape, or form, but it.
Nope. It really isn't. It is. It's not. It's not doing. I'm using it. It's of its purpose. You know. It's kind of like Cowboys. You know, they just use a lot of people outside of their purpose or not in their purpose or whatever it is, but they just mismanage a lot of things.
Well, they do say we lose 90% of the heat out of the top of the head. So maybe that is, I just think of it as covering my ears because that's the cold part, but I guess there is more to it than that.
Then I have so much hair, so it's like, I'm still insulated on the heat coming from my head anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. Cowboys lost to the Green Bay Packers, who are on a 5-game losing streak, and that is partially embarrassing. As far as the who, what, when, where, why, and how that actually matters, Green Bay's second-round pick, Christian Watson, couldn't make a play to save his life the entire year, but against the Dallas Cowboys, he couldn't be stopped. And Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon got about 5.5 yards per pop against the Cowboys' defense, and Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions. That about cover it?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, have a great day. We'll catch you next week as we get ready to play the Minnesota Vikings. Like what we did today on the radio is like, to me, the 2 interceptions are interesting to talk about because like one, this week I can't and don't want to make the case that like Dak played well. But the 2 interceptions on their own, I think, are at least worth conversation. Where what is going on with CeeDee, where he's the one receiver on this team that has a ton of ability. Please see the fact that he had 11 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown, and he cooked one of the best corners in football for the touchdown they scored on. But it does seem like he and Dak are the only pair on this team. Like Dalton Schultz effed up in his own way, not getting deep to let CeeDee come under him for a touchdown for the second pick. But I would say in that one, Dak, that's too cloudy no matter what your plan is. There's 3 defenders in a triangle around those 2 dudes. Sail that thing through the goalposts and let's move on with our day. But the other one, we saw it against Chicago and we saw it again there where Dak is thinking that, hey, there are 3 dudes deep. You can cut right in front of this safety. You'll be between him and the ball. You're going to catch the ball. We're going to get a first down, and we're going to move on with the game. And it just seems like CeeDee, while he's running the route, is just like, that doesn't look good to me. I'm going to do this. And I think he's the one player on the team that has the ability to do that within a play where he runs the option routes and he has the choices. But to me, it seems like he and Dak don't see football the same way as often as with like Gallup or Schultz. Like they're going to do what they're supposed to do and what Dak thinks they're going to do. But too often, I think CeeDee and Dak don't see football the same.
And that's unfortunate because you can't have your wide receiver. My thing is this: as below average receiver that I was, I'll take that all day long. And people can throw that at me all day long. I get it.
Hey, was it fun to play in the NFL though?
It was damn good.
Okay, just remember you suck though. But I'm glad that you enjoyed playing in the NFL.
But anytime that I was in the game, high school, college, specifically in high school and college, because I was the man then, I always expected the ball to come to me. There was never not an opportunity. And I would get upset if the ball didn't come to me. And it just feels like CeeDee sometimes doesn't feel like the ball is coming to him. And that's a problem for me. Because I watch, and I watched, and I'm watching wide receivers ones all across. You know, it was interesting to watch Justin Jefferson play before the Cowboys played. And to watch him in double coverage, and watch him in bracket coverage, and watch him in single coverage, and watch him in any and every coverage that you can name, still get open. And when it looks like he's not supposed to get open, and Kirk Cousins turns his head and says, Jefferson's down there somewhere, he comes up with one of the greatest catches of the season. That to me is a person who is so engaged and always looking for the football. I don't think CeeDee Lamb, and maybe we should stop having the conversation with names like Jefferson and names like Tyreek Hill with the name like CeeDee Lamb. Maybe we should make sure that we're doing the proper punctuation in having those conversations. Like, have those conversations about those guys and then put a period on it and then talk about CeeDee Lamb. Because I watched those guys do it, and then even though he had a 150-yard game, it's like you still left so many plays on the football field. And there's plays like that one where it's clear that the middle of the field is closed. Like, come on. Like, we learned middle of the field open, middle of the field closed a long time ago. And as you're coming through that works and you're sitting right there, that is the ultimate and clear indication of middle of the field closed. His face. I got to get skinny to the quarterback. I got to get flattened to the quarterback and be ready to receive the ball. But he just kind of just kept going. And like he never knew the ball was intercepted. Like, he didn't know the ball was intercepted until like 4 or 5 seconds later, because he just thought, it's not coming to me. This is going somewhere else. La, da, da, da. Oh, that's Lambeau Field is nice. It's in the middle of a neighborhood, man. It's good foliage, man. You know, temperature. No, it's a football game going on, man, and you should want to be a part of it at all times.
Yeah, and this ball is going to come to you because it's third. Now, I think there's a whole nother conversation about, like, if I were the opposing team playing defense and it's 3rd and 9, well, I will bet the house that it's going to be CeeDee Lamb running up the seam or running a dig or whatever. He's going to end up in the middle of the field, and they're going to throw it to him. Good job defense on knowing exactly what the Cowboys were going to do, and they did. So I do think that happens with CeeDee. And I get accused of being a CeeDee homer because I think that CeeDee is a really good player. I think after that game, he's still a really, really good player. But I think on plays like that, when he sees that look and he's like, yeah, that look I don't think equals me getting the ball, he just kind of trots by the safety like, yeah, I know it's not going to be me. And he's like, he threw it to me. It's like, well, he did, but you're like back there now, and now it's going that way. He's like, oh, I didn't think I was going to get the ball. Like, bad read. I wasn't open. I was like, well, I'm going to give you a chance, though. I'm going to give you a chance because in theory, I could have you between him and if we could keep that safety and you're between him and me, you could catch the ball and stop him from catching the ball, and then we could have a first down. But it's like, well, that would be, he's right here. It's so close. I'm just going to keep going and just cruise on down the field. Bad job. Go ahead and assume you're going to get how about this, CeeDee? Realize that there are no other good receivers on the team.
Thank you.
Like, Dak is going to throw you the ball. And it might be contested. And you might look at it and be like, that's probably a bad look. I don't think he's going to throw it here. The hell he's not. He ain't got nobody else to throw to. Okay? No one else is going to be open. You are getting the ball. And on the other one, hey, Dak, sometimes it's okay, man. I know you hear those crazy people that say Dak sucks. It's like, haha, take this. Take this isn't the answer. The people who think you suck, they already dug in.
Right.
You've been really good for 6 years. If they don't think you're any good, they're not coming anywhere. So you throw it at the back of the end zone and let them kick a field goal and move on with your day. So anyway, that's it. That's the offense. And Tony Pollard on offense, I'm finding new. Speaking of people who will never change their minds, anybody who listens to the stuff about like Tony Pollard can't have a certain number of carries or Tony Pollard can't XYZ on a day where he had more than 20 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown and averaged over 5 yards per carry, and even in overtime on snaps like 67 through 72, even though we were told he can't play more than 30 snaps. On snap 70, he in overtime ran for 9-yard catch. And yet you'll still find people who will be like, yeah, but you missed Zeke in that game. And I go, huh? In what way? And so, well, he would have. I don't even know the words people are typing anymore because I'm like, what? You were going to do better than over 5 yards a carry and still getting gains of 7 every time you had it handed to you in overtime. And it's like, shout out to Tony Pollard because he is a badass and he is playing for one of the only organizations in sports that will intentionally play an inferior player because he's a leader and they drafted him high and they paid him a bunch. But to anybody left that still has something where they're like, yeah, but in that game, you could see that they would have, I don't know what to do with y'all. And so I just won't. I'll just keep moving on and talking about what the team did, and y'all can continue to pretend that there was something there would have been something magical about a guy wearing a different jersey number when the second back averaged 7-something a carry. The team averaged about 6 a carry. Like, shout out to Tony Pollard for softening him up for Malik Davis. It turns out that's the magical formula. Like, I don't even know what to do. Good job running the ball, Cowboys. Tony Pollard, enjoy the paycheck you're going to get from somebody. Malik Davis, good job when you got it. I don't know what to do with the people who think that you were missing something with your running backs.
Yeah, the problem was you were missing something with your running backs was that coordinator stopped running the ball. That's what you were missing. Because the fact of the matter is you won points and then you proceeded to pass the ball for 22 more times. I don't get it. Like that part is like, you mean to tell me that because Zeke is not in uniform, you can't find ways to salt a football game away? Like you're up 14 points.
Oh, maybe that's what the Zeke people will say now. If you had Zeke, you could have put the game. You could have handed it to Tony Pollard. He had a better day than Zeke ever has. Hand it to him.
Like even Malik Davis was eating. Like you're playing the 27th ranked run defense. They're at run defense. They're just as bad as you at run defense. The only problem is their offensive coach said, yeah, we're going to run it 40 times and only pass it 20. And your offense coordinator said, sure, we're going to pass the ball over 40 times, which, by the way, when you go back and look at records, Dak doesn't have a winning record when he passes the ball 40-plus times in a football game. But you're going to pass the ball 46 times in a football game and run the ball 20-something times in a game. Like that to me is the mismanagement at times when I look up and I go, what are we doing here, fellas? Like, and it wasn't like I talk about empty calories. Do you remember the conversation? And I'm all over the place today. Do you remember the conversation we had about 3 weeks ago? And I said, remember times when you had a little bit more month and money and you kind of had those meals you kind of had to make, the ramen noodles. Sometimes you got to get a little bit of lunch meat, maybe even some hot dogs. You got to kind of make that meal stretch a little bit further because you're broke.
I love that hot dog.
Oh, but when that direct deposit hits, is scrimp, is steak. Oh, when that bank account get filled back up again, you out here in the streets, you at Nick and Sam's, you out here. And I said that Kellen Moore would get out of the things that was working for this team offensively, and he would start getting back to that old pass happy bag. Oh, Dak is back. The direct deposit is hit. There's no way you should have passed the ball 40 football game. There's no way you should have done that, especially entering the fourth quarter with 13 minutes left and you're up 2 touchdowns. and you proceed to pass the ball 22 more times. And Green Bay never feared that your lead was actually that stagnant. I mean, that's unsustainable because this is Aaron Rodgers, right? Because I promise you, if you'd have told me, Jesse, I'll bet you $1,000 that Aaron Rodgers won't pass the ball more than will only have 20 pass attempts in a football game, I would have broken my fingers to reach in my pocket so fast to make the bet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's also how you know, because also the big part of this, like you said, Dak's record isn't good when he throws it 40 times. I'm sure it's not, because usually if a team doesn't throw it a bunch, it means, boy, did they run the hell out of it. Like nobody calls 40 run plays if they're not running the ball great, because there's no point. If a team ran the ball that much, usually they had a lead or they were just running the hell out of the ball. And in the case of Green Bay, they're running the hell out of the ball. They didn't think they could throw the ball. They came into this game thinking they couldn't throw. Aaron Rodgers had 4 yards passing halfway through the second quarter. He had 4 yards, and he was 1 of 4 or whatever. And then they were like, "Oh wait, what if
Watson dropped another bomb that he should have caught? That he dropped.
Yeah,
he dropped 2 passes that he should have caught that he dropped. That he didn't like. So his night could have been even more spectacular because it could have been 100+ yards and maybe 4 touchdowns.
And so after watching that game, I do wonder, because I'm like you right now, where I could take it 9 different ways at every point, because I do think about, like, we think of this as a really good Cowboy defense, and by the numbers through however many weeks before this week, they were a top 5 defense in football. So they are a good defense that's been one of the best pass rushes in football.
Except in one area.
Run defense?
Yes.
Okay, so then I want to move past that even to Aaron Rodgers got over 11 yards per pass attempt, and Aaron Rodgers was just like, and what was really beating you was literally a dude running. He ran by Anthony Brown for 70, and then another one, the one where they were down towards the goal line, it was literally from the right slot, run across the field. There was no moves. There was no route to it. So far we've run. And then the one in overtime to Lazard was Deron Bland just fell down. And so, all right, well, now we're in field goal range and we beat you guys and it's over. And so, like, there, you didn't have a great pass rush. You did not play good pass defense. You did not play good run defense. And that's a little surprising. I don't think I expected that the Cowboys would be like, hey, what did they do well in defense? And I go, nothing. And part of that might be that you were beat up. But when Anthony Brown was still out there, he was the one who got torched. And maybe it will be uglier if it's Kelvin Joseph and Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs. Well, they didn't throw at Diggs. They threw one time at Diggs total.
Would you, if you were a quarterback, you'll go, hey, number 7, this guy in the last 2 seasons have damn near 20 interceptions, even all pro.
No, I'll leave him alone.
Oh, Butterback, toast him. Oh, another Butterback. Let's toast him. Another Butterback. Let's toast him. I wouldn't even deal with Trayvon Diggs. No, sir. You stay over there. You stay occupied and not coming up and securing the run fits. That's fine. You stay right over that. You stay right over in that left side, right side to you, left side to us. But over here. But that's what good quarterbacks do, right? Like, that's what the veteran quarterbacks do. They look around and go, oh, they trust and believe. You think Aaron Rodgers didn't know when the starting cornerback was out? He knew. It was like, all right. And even the one on Deron Bland, and it was like, we're gonna wait for the moment when we have to do it, and then when we do, boom. And they picked the right call, the right plays, it was a perfect call. It was a perfect call, especially with the run game, the way he was running all day long. And Deron Bland, his feet were stuck in the ground, and when he went to go move, it was way too late, and he threw a little. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can make that little pass right there, literally in his sleep. And 36 yards later, the only pass that Lazard caught in that game over.
And like, I'm also a big believer in the fact that, like, football happens sometimes. So, like, this is going to move the Cowboys to 6-3. They may or may not catch, and like, now the Giants are ahead of you. They may or may not finish the season with a better record than the Giants, but they're still probably on the exact same trajectory that they were. And so really all you're wondering if this alters is, like, what do you think happens in the first round of the postseason, or what can they do in the postseason? How much are you going to take out of one game? Because I'll always go with, when you go play football on Sunday, there's a different good team that you can ask every week that loses to a bad team. You better show up and play or somebody's going to whip your ass. And the Cowboys lost a game. It doesn't change the trajectory of anything. But the other thing that it alarms for me is that if you are going to have your quarterback and encourage him to throw it 40 some odd times a game, I still, for the life of me, can't understand why the hell do you have one good receiver on your team? Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. It's because they added A.J. Brown and they have the best offensive line in football in Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Tua Tagovailoa is now an MVP candidate. And that was going from a lot of people who were thinking this would be the last year of his NFL career if he couldn't get it going. It's because they added Tyreek Hill to Jalen Waddle, and they added an offensive head coach and play caller who's a badass. And we want our quarterback to be a badass because he makes a bunch of money, and he has CeeDee Lamb. That's what he's got.
And it didn't have to be that. It didn't have to be that. It got personal when you got rid of a number one wide receiver who allowed CeeDee Lamb to get much better advantages in coverage. And now, and honestly, I know that you want Odell Beckham here. It ain't going to matter. It won't matter. Because I just look at the timeline of signing a guy like Odell Beckham. And there's going to have to be some level of ramping up. Is that 2 weeks? Right, so that's
if I signed him 2 weeks from now, and you told me there was a 2 week ramp up period, then in my mind that's great. We're ready. We're postseason ready. We're postseason ready.
You got communication issues with the dude with your quarterback and your star receiver. You think you're not gonna have communication issues with this guy?
No, Odell's just gonna go out there and run routes. He's just gonna run the route that's called, and he's gonna get. That is the thing, because like if you want the dudes who really separate. They are also the dudes who run routes like CeeDee. Like Michael Gallup, sure, he's going to go doot, break. Odell Beckham, and Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill and name your awesome receiver. They are going. It's going to look more like a basketball crossover in the route. Like we're going to do something different. We're going to get open.
Use the proper, not pronunciation. Use the proper sentence structure. Do not say those names and slide CeeDee's names in there. Put a period on it, then say CeeDee's name. He's not in the conversation with those guys.
Okay, hold on. Let me think about who I can use then.
The proper pronunciation.
I need the names of the 8th. It's very much like Dak, right? Give me the names of the 8th through 12th best receivers in football. Those are the dudes I need.
Those are the guys that you can mush them all together and say his name in those names.
But the guys who have that freedom and that fun in their route running are generally guys who get separation. And I think the Cowboys kind of want the boring, like, I did it. You told me on the 3rd step, put my right foot in the ground and break at this angle, and I did it. And the best players who can actually get open are like, how about if I get the dude to spin the wrong way and do a circle? And then it won't matter. And I'll be running that way, and he'll be over there, and you can just toss it to me.
And see, this is the part that upsets me about the people in position, that the offensive coordinator, because this has this, and I know people say I have this beef against Jason Garrett, but Jason Garrett was historically known for putting people in the box, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, he's a bad coach.
Kellen Moore feels the same way, because I just look around and I'm like, how is it that you can't find different ways to get these guys open? And how is it that you have not found a way to use 4.2 speed in any way, shape, or form in your offense as a pass catcher? How? Like,
especially when the rest of them are slow.
Like, how have you, like, you literally have a dude, and I watched Michael Gallup gimp around the football field last night. I watched him gimp around the football field last night. And he toughed it out and he roughed it out and he made a play or two. But I watched the man gimp around the football field. I watch another dude who is God bless Noah Brown. He's doing the very best that he can. He has his moments where he comes through. But again, this is a guy who honestly, Noah Brown is more of the 4th or 5th type of receiver and a core special teams guy who's playing the number. He's playing out of his role. And yet you have a guy who is blazing fast, tremendous in space, and you can't find, like, you don't have to make it up yourself. Like, that's the thing, is that you don't even have to get in the lab and cook up this. You can steal it from someone else. You can legally obtain it from and find 5 or 6 or 7 different ways to do it. Even if at times you're just using him for a decoy to allow someone else to come underneath him. But like you said, Watson just lined it up in the slot and just ran his 4-3 that way. He lined up here and he ran his 4-3 that way. And Noah Brown just opened up the gate. Now get it, the side diff and all that. But you're telling me that there's nothing in your creative spirit, even as a thief. Be a thief. Be a thief. Steal it. Go watch Tyreek Hill. Go watch all these other guys. Go watch Kadarius Toney. Go watch any of the small.
Hold on, Jesse. You need to put a period.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Before you use Tyreek Hill.
You're right.
Javonte Turpin. Need a period.
Go watch Tyreek Hill. Period. Go watch. Go watch all these other guys. Go and steal Kellen Moore. Go and be a thief and steal some of these other plays that you see these other guys running and try to incorporate this somehow, some way into your offense. It's just so bland and so mundane. And you're right. Those safeties are standing there because they're knowing on 3rd and 9. There's a 90% chance that CeeDee Lamb is going to be coming this way. So let's just wait for him. And boom, he showed up.
So somebody has to do, and maybe that is the answer, because this is the first year ever that on 3rd down and passing situations, like the Cowboys, when it is 3rd down and more than 4, they're going to go to 11 personnel. They're going to bring in 3 wide receivers because that's what people go to pass the ball because it gives you your best pass catchers. And this is the worst 3rd down 11 personnel that Dak has ever been is this year. And I would just theorize it's because it's the worst the personnel group has ever been. This team has a problem at wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3. I just got Michael Gallup pulled up. He's always been a low catch percentage guy, but it also came with the reward of when they did, it was down the field. So like in his career as a rookie, 48% of the targets were catches, then 58, 56, 56. This year it's 53, but his yards per catch is down to 10 when it used to be 15, 16, 14. So your wide receiver 2 is one of the least efficient wide receivers in football when targeted, and the results when you do target him, even when it's a catch, aren't good.
Yeah.
They got a problem at non-CeeDee Lamb wide receiver, and we are also nitpicking what happens when you throw to CeeDee Lamb, where at least his results are very, very good, but some of it you're like, hey, can we figure out how to be on the same page, please? Can we get everything right? So yeah, the Cowboys, that to me is the biggest worrisome takeaway is how are you going to be a high octane, powerful enough offense to win postseason games if you have literally one, I'm not going to say one great or one good, one decent receiver on the roster. You got one dude. And we got to figure out from there. And hell, maybe the answer is run it 50 times. You're going to be a team that Jeff hates to watch. But if you tell me running back's getting over 5 yards a pop, I'll take it. We can run it 50 times in that scenario. I hate running it 50 times for 3 yards. I'm tired of watching these damn punts. Can we please try to move the football? So that's my biggest one. That's my biggest one is that I think that worries me the most because, like, do I think this defense is going to be bad as a pass rushing team, bad against the run and bad against the pass most weeks? Probably not. But do I think having bad results and bad yards per attempt in the passing game could be something that's consistent? Sure. You don't have the weapons, and that ain't good. So that's my biggest worry from this game.
Yeah, I think my biggest worry from this game has been a long-standing worry is that you still have not found a way to stop the run, and that's a problem. And it ain't up the middle. Like it's not just up the middle. It's just not like the sea has parted and they're running up the middle. No, they're attacking the edges as well.
Yeah, I think they got way too – we've talked about it for weeks. I think they all got way too excited about how many sacks they get, and so they're playing a game to go get sacks.
This goes back to last year as well. I mean, go back and look. I mean, I'm not even talking about the Niners in the playoffs. We all knew what the Niners were going to do in the playoffs, and they came in here and did not deviate from the plan. There was nothing that you can do. Like, there was nothing that you can do. There is a level of physicalness and want to. Like, football is a lot of skill, a ton of skill. But there's a lot of want to as well. Like, you got to want to. And I don't think this team, I don't think it's built properly, and I don't think it's a lot of want to and stopping the run. because teams are just doing it at will now. Like literally, you giving up almost 700 yards in the last 3 games ground. You've given up 250, 150 something, and then another 2. So like you're giving up a ton of rushing yards. And again, when you face a team that has a decent quarterback, see, we gave up a ton of yards to Jared Goff and the Lions. Not a good quarterback. We gave up a ton of yards to the Bears, and not a good quarterback. But when you give up a ton of yards and they have an above average or greater quarterback, you're going to find yourself probably on the losing end of a lot of these games. And as you get into the playoffs, you're going to face an above average or better quarterback. And if you cannot stop the run, you're going to find yourself, again, we'll sit back here in January because that's all I care about. I don't care about the regular season. I don't care how many wins they put up in the, but I there's constantly things that show up. It showed up in the Philadelphia game. It showed up in the Lions game, the Bears game, and it showed up last night with you. When teams decide we're going to physically run the football and there's nothing you can do about it, that to me says all I need to know, because that's playoff football, and it's happened far too many times for the Cowboys for me to believe that they're a serious Super Bowl contender or a serious playoff contender when you have not yet solidified the ability to stop teams from running the ball at will against your defense. That's my biggest takeaway, my worry.
That is going to close the book on the Green Bay Packer game. Peace out. So we will see you guys, Friday, to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, who are better than the Packers. And I actually think the Cowboys will beat them because they're the Cowboys, and this is how we do things. So that's it for us. We appreciate you guys for being here. This is brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. And remember, you have no idea what anyone's going through, so be cool to everyone. We love you. Be easy.
Eliminate the contingencies.